when a person starts to recognize it's not Russia and Ukraine, it's not even Hamas, it's not the presidential debate that's making me crazy. I, by nature, was born with divergent parts of my personality. In general, it's called the ego. In general, it's called the external self. This strife...
But did you say 70 parts? Was that...
Yeah. Well, look, I study
Some nations get along.
I study psychology, and there's a very famous, successful therapy called IFS, Interfamily System,
Yeah.
by Richard Schwartz. Once again, came up with this great system telling you at the bottom, at the most important piece of information is you have a soul. That's like his chap, you know? He takes it from Jung, really. And it's true. And it aligns. I love it when it aligns with the truth of the Torah. So these external parts of us, which cause a lot of the confusion and strife, are actually part of the cosmic plan. The strife of the world is actually part of God's plan to get you to be motivated to look for that part of you called the man of peace, which is very humble and willing to take a back seat and bow down to anybody who wants to take the wheel. And therefore, I like to call this process that when things get out of hand, instead of freaking out, recognize that the rectification, it's this part of the problems being the rectification, is to realize that, no, this is okay. This is supposed to happen. This is normal. This is, if it doesn't happen to you, you should be worried. Why? Because you'll never really discover your man of peace, which is your Mashiach. So the strife is actually a blessing. And the strife forces you to find the higher self, which makes the peace among all of the parts of you. There's no bad parts. They all have to be heard. They all have to be motivated and aligned. And that's the title of my book, you know.
Living Aligned.
Living Aligned is trying to...
We got a snapshot of it right here.
trying to put yourself in divine alignment with the cosmic forces so that you live with more vitality. You live with less strife. You live with more joy.
So you're saying this is the purpose of life?
And there's no question about it. There's no question. Because when you're doing this, you become a conduit through which good energy flows to the world. You are a walking Beis Hamikdash. You are a walking temple. And you bring about the temple. All those that have this wisdom of unity, this big picture, this broad understanding that you're not just a raven in a haven, you're not fighting the world, but you're part of a very big system. These type of people, it's as if they built the temple in their days.
So if the external world is a manifestation or expression of our internal strife, then wouldn't it stand to reason that if one person sorted it out, we'd be done?
For sure, that person's called Mashiach. Obviously, it's beautiful that you said that, because there is a teaching in Rabbi Nachman's major work, Likutei Moharan, number 61, in the second part, where he talks about this idea that God is above time. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I want to get to this idea that he explains that the more advanced a person gets in his consciousness, the more he rises up beyond time. Obviously, that's the concept of being present, because beyond time doesn't, what do you mean, beyond time? Meaning that the past and the future are not your place that you hang out, but you hang out in the present, and you have this consciousness that's expansive, and you're closer to the Shem. So the closer you get to that, the closer you rise up to above time. And then he explains that this is the concept of the Mashiach. And he brings from the second Psalm the verse that says, "Today I've given birth to you." Rabbi Nachman explains that Mashiach's been around for thousands of years, but there's going to come a day where the Hashem is going to, quote unquote, activate Mashiach and say, "It's time, Hayom." That's what he's going to say, Hayom. Hayom ani giladaticha. Today I've given birth to you. So Rabbi Nachman says that what happened to all the suffering in those years that the Mashiach has been conscious of the fact that the Jewish people are suffering and he can't come. There's a lot of suffering. So I say, it's not for naught the Mashiach suffering. He suffered more than anybody, and therefore, when he transmutes that strife and suffering, he's going to be privy to the highest level of consciousness. So the more you suffer, if you're merit to transmute that suffering, you are privy to the highest level of consciousness. Does that make sense?
Not completely. Why is the suffering so essential?
Because the Creator, who is good, who is God, who loves everyone, who wants everyone to reach his fullest potential, knows exactly how much pain and difficulties and suffering a person needs in order to activate his true essence. And it's not arbitrary.
So we're not seeking out suffering, but once it's there, to transmute it, to lean in.
Yes, and if you have a lot of it, you must know. And if you don't, come to me. You must know that you're a high neshama, and Hashem has chosen you. And what's necessary is to figure out, and it's not easy, how one transmutes pain and turns it into consciousness. And this literally is exactly what Rabbi Nachman is saying. And that's why Mashiach he won't be a regular person, because he's not a regular person. He's been around for a long time, and he suffered more than us. Therefore, he will be able to transform the world. We can transform our friends and our community, but the world is for the Mashiach.